The FSX machines were designed so that very little maintenance is required. In this segment, we will walk you through the maintenance needed for each machine.
Refer to the periodic maintenance schedule chart found in your operation manual for recommended maintenance intervals. We recommend placing a copy close to the machine as a reminder. Check the moisture trap weekly on the left side of the machine for any water. If water is found, drain the trap and have your air dryer serviced immediately before using the trap blaster. Note that the drain is reverse thread. Water will damage the pneumatic valves and cylinders inside the trap blaster and will also cause the primary soot sucker filter to get soft enough to tear and ruin both filters. When material builds up inside the lower cabinet, hook up an air hose to the connection on the left side of the trap blaster. Turn on the soot sucker with the trap blaster door open and blow the loose material into the soot sucker duct. The turntable is variable speed by design, so it will automatically speed up and slow down to almost a stop. The turntable should be greased once every 6 months. On machines manufactured after May 2013, there is an access cover with 2 screws on the front of the turntable. Pre-May 2013 machines can access the grease fitting from the rear access panel that has 12 screws. If the turntable is not maintained properly with grease, it will wear out and start to make noise. If this is the case, you can pull the turntable bearing out and put it in a parts washer, re-grease, and reinstall. If this doesn't take care of the noise, it will need to be replaced. Check the vacuum pressure gauge daily during the cleaning process. As the soot sucker filters get dirty, the vacuum inside the trap blaster will fall. When the vacuum gauge gets down below 2, it is time to get a new filter ordered. Do not let this gauge fall below 1 as material may escape from the machine. To determine which filter is clogged, see the next segment on soot sucker maintenance. Check the bucket daily. It takes about 30 to 40 DPF cleanings to fill the bucket once the primary soot sucker filter has been seasoned. When the bucket is full, place a lid on top of it and replace with a new 5-gallon bucket. You can send the soot and ash to FSX or dispose according to your local regulations. When cleaning DPFs, always turn the pulse on with the motor. To extend the primary filter life, perform an offline pulse with the motor off for 20 minutes per day. The pulse self-cleans the primary filter and sends material to the bucket below. When the trap blaster vacuum gauge falls under 2, check the soot sucker gauges to see which filter needs to be replaced. The round primary filter should last about 300 DPF cleanings if the offline pulse is completed daily. The square HEPA filter on top of the machine usually lasts over 1,000 DPF cleanings. The soot sucker filter gauges will get higher as the filter gets dirtier, and usually needs to be replaced once the gauge reads on the high end to the right. But it all depends on the overall vacuum reading on the trap blaster. Before removing the soot sucker primary filter, make sure to use proper safety equipment. It is highly recommended to use a good respirator or dust mask. It is also a good idea to wear a Tyvek suit and gloves. To replace the soot sucker primary filter, remove the black turn knobs holding the front panel. Leave the top knob in place and remove last while holding the panel from falling. The panel is steel and fairly heavy, so use caution. Use 2 people if there is any concern. Slide out the deflector plate and set aside. Spin down the tensioning bar at the bottom of the filter with one hand while holding the filter up with the other. Spin down until the top of the filter clears the pulse jet nozzle. This will take a few minutes of spinning. Remove the filter, place in a large plastic bag and dispose. Put in a new filter and reverse the process, taking care to align the gasket on the top of the filter with the cabinet so it doesn't get hung up on the lip around the hole. Make sure the filter gasket is tight against the cabinet so the filter cannot be rotated by hand. Reinstall the deflector plate and the cabinet door by starting all 6 knobs and tightening each one gradually in turn until all are tight. Replacing the HEPA filter will require a lift or a ladder and 2 people. Start by removing the 8 Allen bolts that secure the top cover. Remove the cover. Carefully lift one end of the HEPA filter until hands can be reached down to lift the filter out of the cabinet. Note that the seal is facing down. Lower the new filter down into the cabinet and let go before pinching fingers. Center the filter inside the cabinet and place the cover on top. Hand start all 8 bolts first and then tighten down the cover. Vacuum out the airflow compartment once per year or as needed. Vacuum floor and element grooves quarterly or when necessary. Ensure that the kiln is plugged in to avoid static charges.